It is my pleasure to introduce our speaker, Dr. Hamid Karzai, to you this afternoon. Dr. Karzai was the first democratically elected president of Afghanistan, and he served for 2 consecutive terms from 2004 to 2014. He graduated from Habibia High School in 1976, and he traveled to India, where he earned a bachelor's and master's degree in political science, international relations from the Himachal Pradesh University in Shimla. Dr. Karzai rose through the ranks during the turbulent Soviet occupation of Afghanistan to eventually become the president of the country after the fall of the Taliban. He served as the Deputy Foreign Minister in the Mujahideen Transitional Government and was the Director of the Foreign Relations Unit in the Office of the President of the Interim Government. Then Dr. Karzai began to work actively for the organization of the National Loy Jirga, which is or the Grand Council, as he believed that only through the Loy Jirga could Afghanistan difficulties be overcome. This belief was borne out by the Emergency Loy Jirga of 2002 and the Constitutional Loy Jirga in 2003. On December 5, 2001, the participants of the UN-sponsored Bonn Conference elected Dr. Karzai as the chairman of the interim administration of Afghanistan. In the following 2 presidential elections in 2004 and 2009, Dr. Karzai was elected president by majority votes. Dr. Karzai is fluent in several languages, including Pashto, Persian, Hindi, French, and English. He enjoys riding horses and studying philosophy. He has received numerous distinguished awards, among which is the Honorary Knighthood from Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth, the Medal of Malik Abdul Aziz of Saudi Arabia, and the Indira Gandhi Prize for Peace, Disarmament, and Development, and many more. Dr. Karzai also received numerous honorary doctorates from Georgetown University, from Nippon Sports Science University of Japan, the American University of Afghanistan, and the Shimla University of India. And ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Dr. Karzai this afternoon once again as he speaks to us on the topic of Afghanistan, new challenges and opportunities. He will speak for about half an hour, after which we will have a question and answer session. Thank you, Dr. Karzai.
Honorable Dean Wei Wing Tat, the interim president of the university, students, faculty, most important of all, again, students. When I learned I was coming to this lovely country, Kazakhstan, our neighbor, your country, I was thrilled, as always, to be here. This is not my first visit. This is probably my 6th or 7th visit. I've been here visiting since 2002. I've been to Almaty and I've been to Astana. I hope I can be in many more places as well. But I have seen how your country has developed since 2002, the achievements, the stability, and how that was done is something that I'll come to later. But now, I'm here for the Euro-Asian Media Forum. We did the 2 sessions this morning, in which I spoke from the perspective of a citizen of Afghanistan, not only about the problems that our region faces, Afghanistan faces, the world faces, but also, more importantly, with regard to Kazakhstan, of Kazakhstan's assistance to Afghanistan. President Nazarbayev has been a sincere friend of Afghanistan, contributing immensely to, especially for this occasion, especially for this audience of young students, contributing especially to the education of the Afghan youth. Some of you may not know, some of you may know, President Nazarbayev has given the Afghan youth in the past 14 years nearly 1,000 scholarships. Most of those students are in Almaty, a great many of them also in medical sciences, 180 of them. For a country like ours, Afghanistan, that has suffered for so long, especially for the deprivation in education that was imposed on us, President Nazarbayev's allocation of 1,000 scholarships to us goes a great way. So I would thank you, students, so you know what you've done for the youngsters of Afghanistan. I did this morning as well with Madam Darega Nazarbayeva, who is the chairperson of the organizing committee of the conference. On Afghanistan, one wonders always where to start, Honorable Dean. Should I start from thousands of years ago, from our civilization, from our history, from all that we experience, our culture, or should I start from more recent times, 30 years ago? Since we all shared the 1,000 years of history together, I need not remind you. It's the same. It's almost the same food, the same culture, the same celebrations. So let's go to the past 30 years. Afghanistan's troubles began when the former Soviet Union, a friend of Afghanistan, made a mistake of invading Afghanistan, of trying to superimpose communism on the Afghan people, on a deeply believing Muslim country, but a moderate country. And when the Afghans began to resist that Soviet invasion, our friends from the West, the Americans, the Europeans, the countries in the region, some Muslim countries also joined hands to support our resistance against the former Soviet Union. Now, here is when things went wrong. The Soviet Union was trying to impose communism on the Afghan people as a way of life. As we began to resist it, our American friends and the other allies in the region, in Pakistan, they began to impose religious extremism on us. So through that religious extremism, they would defeat the Soviets easier, they would do away with it at immense cost to our lives, our stability, our institutions, our education, our economy, and the fact that our society was seriously hurt and institutions of governance, state structures disappeared, collapsed. Once the Soviet left Afghanistan and Afghanistan became free, the Mujahideen arrived, this trend of imposing extremism, religious extremism on Afghanistan did not stop. The Americans lost interest for a while. Our neighbors pushed, especially Pakistan, pushed stronger and stronger to bring more radicalism, to bring more religious extremism on the Afghan people with immense consequences for us. Bringing in the Taliban, bringing in all that trouble and the consequences for the West as well in the form of September 11 attack, unfortunately, on the people of New York and Washington. It was this incident that reignited the attention and the interest of the United States and the West in Afghanistan. They came back, and with the help of the Afghan people, indeed, that assistance liberated Afghanistan from a creeping invasion, a secret invasion, an invasion that you would not see easily with naked eyes, but an invasion that was there in our dress, in our form, and in our appearance. Afghanistan began to develop rapidly. With only a few thousand students in our schools, within a few years we reached millions of students. Today, probably we are 11 million students in our schools. From one university or two universities, we mushroomed in the past 14 years to God knows how many. 30 or 35 government universities, nearly 85 or more private universities, with hundreds of thousands of students, thousands of educators. I mentioned Kazakhstan's contribution. India contributed the same way, with 1,000 scholarships every year. Iran contributed the same way. Japan, China, and European countries and the US as well. So today, as I'm speaking, Afghanistan is qualitatively a different country, with a vibrant media, with newly arrived educated Afghans from studies within Afghanistan and abroad, with a better economy, with life improving daily. Yes, we did not see security. The war on terrorism was not conducted the way it should have been conducted. The United States and its allies made mistakes. They did not go to the roots of where it was. They did not go to the sanctuaries of it. They did not go where it was raised, bred, financed, trained, and ideologically equipped. Rather, they concentrated on causing war in Afghan villages where extremism wasn't there in the first place, where terrorism wasn't there in the first place. Today, 14 years on, neither is Afghanistan secure, nor is Pakistan secure because of its own policies, nor is the region secure, nor is Europe anymore secure. You saw Paris, you saw Brussels, the mayhem there. And just the day before yesterday, in Kabul, and in Syria, and in Libya, and in Iraq, and elsewhere. And the threats also to Central Asia. So, our story for the past 14 years has two sides. A beautiful picture of the young rising in Afghanistan, of the young educating in Afghanistan, of the media vibrant in Afghanistan, of culture vibrant in Afghanistan, of economic progress, of universities opening, of schools opening, children going to school, of merrymaking, and a more capable society. On the other side, a not so beautiful picture. Unfortunately, a bad picture of casualties, of civilians dying, of radicalism increasing, of extremism increasing, of the war on terror not ending. For the good things that has happened in Afghanistan, we're very grateful to our allies. From America, to China, to Japan, to Kazakhstan, to India, to Iran, to all those countries that helped. For the lack of progress on terrorism, for the failure there to fight terrorism effectively, well, let's take some blame on us and the rest on our allies. And I hope that as we move forward, the corrections that are necessary will be made. For any society, and from the point of view of my experience in Afghanistan and that of my colleagues, we adopted a democratic system of government, one modeled on the US Constitution, a presidential system, 2 terms limitation, with the parliament, with democratic elections, with institution building. We did very well. We conducted our elections, though our elections were always accused of being rigged, being bad, being faulty, but we did it. We did our best we could. Here is my most important remark, especially addressed to you, the youth of Kazakhstan. Had we, the Afghan people, been in charge wholly, entirely of our democratic process, it would have not had those mistakes or difficulties. You cannot pay for a democratic process of a country that's very much internal to us, to any nation, part of our daily life, with foreign money. You cannot nurture democracy with foreign money. You cannot organize elections with the UN present in your elections or foreign governments present in your elections. This is a home affair. This is an extremely intimate internal affair of any society, any nation. And then also, for a country like us in Afghanistan, you have to have the involvement, the protection of your internal, historic, traditional, cultural mechanisms incorporated into the political processes that you want to evolve. There too, we could not do that because there was a superimposition of an ideal that we thought was good from outside. So, I have come to the conclusion that we will continue in Afghanistan on a democratic path. We will continue to organize elections. We will continue to have parliament. We will continue to have our institution building. But that we must do this entirely on our own, within the context of our culture, of our society, of our religion, and through our own means. Can you imagine a vote in Afghanistan for one person would cost you, I don't know, how many dollars? $5? $9? A vote in Afghanistan, if you want to go in Afghanistan to cast your ballot in a box, that vote would cost you $9. In India, costing that same vote for an Indian citizen would be less than 20 cents. In Afghanistan, $9. In India, maybe less than 20 cents. Because India conducted its own democracy with its own resources, it did not rely on contractors from outside. It did not bring ballot papers from outside. It did not bring ink from outside. All of those things. Therefore, today, seeing Kazakhstan, the progress that you have made, the ideals that you've enshrined through the work of your president, through the initiatives like the Conference on Confidence Building Measure in Asia, the cooperation and talk of civilizations, inter-religious harmony, and the recently published manifesto by President Nazarbayev of the world, 21st century, supporting, seeking, promoting, and asking for a peaceful world without nuclear weapons, without tensions, with stability and peace for all, is highly, highly important and dear, especially for me as an Afghan, because that's what we need most in Afghanistan, stability and peace, and because also that's what others need. So it brings me to my point. And I have learned this more and more in China and in India. The Indian democracy succeeded because it was indigenous to India, original to India. The idea came from the British rule and the British Constitution, which is a supremely good democratic country, Britain. But India adapted it exactly to the circumstances of India, to the institutions of India, to the cultural history, and to the memory of India. So it succeeded. That's why India today is the biggest, greatest democracy on earth. The Time magazine some years ago, when there was election in India, captioned it very beautifully, the election in India, the greatest show on earth. It indeed is, because 750 million people go to cast votes. China is a different example. Equally successful, perhaps more successful example. They have a different system. They conduct their affairs differently. They have their Congress sessions, their people's Congress sessions. They have their method of choosing governments, 5-year to 5-year, and adopting laws, and adopting policies, and adopting resolutions, which is what we call in Afghanistan a jirga. Jirga means the gathering of the notables, the influentials, the opinion makers from all walks of life of a country, of our country. The clergy, the political class, the elite, professors, teachers, traders, businessmen, all of that put together makes the jirga. Jirga means caucus, big meeting, big assembly. China have the jirga system, as we call it in Afghanistan. Now, Kazakhstan, the progress that it has made, the tremendous achievement that we have had. Some of you were very young when I came here first time, 14 years ago. Maybe you were 10 years of age, or 11 or 10. How old are you, young man here with glasses? 20. So when I became president, you were 6 years old. Oh, not this much. You don't remember how Kazakhstan was this. was then at that time. But you know Kazakhstan today is on the world of the map, can organize huge meetings, can organize events, can have initiatives, can propose things to the world, is present and available on all world forums, is economically vibrant. I believe your income per capita is now more than $10,000. Nearly how much? Help me. $12,000. Well, then it was how much? 10,000? 2,000? Professor Tad, maybe? No idea? Anybody? $5,000. Then 14 years ago, $5,000. Now from $5,000 to $12,000 is a remarkable achievement. The advice is to you to look at Kazakhstan from the perspective of your own culture, history, and environment. Adopt your own model of development. You must hear a lot of things in the world press for this model, for that model. My experience tells me, India's observation tells me, China's observation tells me that any nation that adopts its own model of development and public participation and stick to it will succeed immensely, as you have, as I see happening today in Kazakhstan. So, young minds, boys and girls, the young ones should be called boys and girls, not men and women. Boys and girls, I wish you all the best. Work hard. Be proud of your country as you are. Be original in your thoughts and ideas with regard to your own country and with regard to the model of development that you want to have, initiate. And for those of us older, in our age, men and women, we are looking forward to you, to the future. I was some time back, not very far, long time back, just about 30 years ago, your age. And we were in the Afghan resistance, the Mujahideen. The government of France invited us from various Mujahideen organizations to go to France and to study photojournalism. I was one of them. And I went there together with my other colleagues. Then I was perhaps 25 years of age. When we arrived in Paris in the morning, straight from the airport, we were taken to have breakfast, and then we were taken to the French Foreign Ministry, Quai d'Orsay. They call it Quai d'Orsay, the French Foreign Ministry. There, in a beautiful hall, a very smartly dressed French diplomat came, and we stood in line, and he told us, welcome to France, you'll be here for 3 months to study photojournalism in one of the elite schools of France. And we remember, young men, he said, that soon the country's responsibility in Afghanistan will be on your shoulders. So as we came out, someone who was with us in that group, an Afghan, told me, how come? How will be responsibilities on our shoulders in a few years' time? Look at our country. It's invaded by a foreign power. Other foreign powers are there helping us and also intervening. I don't think we will ever see that day. I kind of agreed with him, but we were very wrong. This was the year 1985 or 86. By 1992, as we created the Mujahideen government in Kabul, I was already Deputy Foreign Minister of the country. Within 7 years, I was 32. And 10 years after that, by 42, I was the President of Afghanistan. The same will happen to you. Some of you will be ministers. Some of you will be deans of faculties. A great job. Some of you will be professors. Some of you will be engineers, doctors, leaders in your own ways, in your own professions. Teachers. academics, musicians. In other words, in all walks of life, responsibility will fall on your shoulders. So when you prepare for it better, you will handle it better. Therefore, study hard, work hard, be good doctors, good engineers, and be good leaders of this lovely country of yours, Kazakhstan. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Karzai, for that very interesting account of Afghanistan experience as well as his own personal experience, and also some valuable advice for Kazakhstan's development. We will have a time open the floor now for questions. Just two requests I make for those who are asking questions. Please identify yourself and let us know your affiliation for the benefit of Dr. Karzai here. And also, please make your questions very concise because we are running out of time. We have about 20 minutes for question Q&A. All right. Please. There are mics going around. Can you speak into the mic, please? Thank you.
Wonderful.
So I'm from School of Engineering. So we have currently a project with Afghanistan. It's Afghan-Kazakh Science Cooperation Program. So we are planning to have several PhD students from Afghanistan. So you mentioned about 1,000 students,
Yes.
which our country supported.
Already trained, already
done. But
already done.
Yeah, no, it's not done. They have bachelor degree, and few of them were trained in master degrees.
Okay.
0 PhD degrees.
Okay.
Our target to develop PhD degrees cooperation program between our countries. It's 0. So we're targeted to have several PhD students, and we have fund about 300,000 to expand this project, and will be possible to involve you as our advisor in this project. Can you be our advisor?
I'll be humbled, I'll be honored.
Yeah, the problem what we have mostly men from Afghanistan,
Yes.
0 women. So we're target to find some women who have bachelor, master degree for our PhD program. We need your help to do this
When
stuff.
I was here in 2004 or 5, there were Afghan women in Almaty. I saw they were studying.
Oh, maybe,
There.
but in engineering, we don't have zero.
Let's encourage Afghan girls to to study engineering.
We have association
do
with
that.
those women for engineering.
We will definitely do that.
Yeah, we need your help. Yeah, thank you very much.
I will definitely be available, and it's an honor. And I'll be in touch with you as I get home through our ambassador, Mr. Baraki. Thank you. Good suggestion. Good suggestion.
Next question. Yes. Okay.
Here, that young man is also asking this question. Don't forget that.
Амануллах Хайруллоев, телерадиокомпания «Азия Плюс», город Душанбе, Таджикистан. У меня вопрос как к нашим соседям. В связи с последними событиями, которые происходят на границе с Таджикистаном, это объявление талибами очередное весеннее нападение, то трагическое событие, которое произошло в Кабуле, теракт, который унес много жизней, много пострадавших. У меня 2 вопроса. Первый. Талибан представляет угрозу для Центральной Азии? Это первый вопрос. И вы сегодня сказали, что, не дословно, ИГИЛ – это привнесенная в Афганистан структура. Каким вы видите будущее ИГИЛ? Оно будет иметь поддержку или все-таки этот вопрос будет решен в ближайшее время?
با سلام آقای دکتر، خسته نباشین. ما چند تا خبرنگار از تاجیکستان هستیم و خوشحال شدیم شما رو اینجا میبینیم. بعدا هم میخواستیم با شما صحبت کنیم ولی سر فرصت اینجا همکارا 2 تا سوال داشتن. یکی در مورد اون که خطر طالبان و اون هجوم‌های بهاریه که طالبان گفتن. ما الان میدونیم که در مرز ما یه سر درگیری هم داریم. در مورد هجوم بهاری طالبان به کشورهای مثلا آسیای مرکزی و از آن جمله به تاجیکستان و دیگر کشورها و در مورد دولت اسلامی نظر شما چیه؟ مثلا دولت اسلامی خطر که امروز داره به کشورهای خود ما، خود کشورهای اسلامی، کشورهای منطقه هستن، به خطر اکستریمیسم و تروریسم، اینو چجوری میشه ریشه‌کن کرد؟ خیلی ممنون. ببخشید.
جوابتون با فارسی بتون به انگلیسی که کلی بفهمن. In English?
Can we have
I think I should speak English,
Speak in English
for the
please,
benefit of
for the benefit of all the audience here.
translation.
Right?
ولی
Thank you very
فارسی
much.
بعدا شما رو باید ثبت کنیم.
حتما بخیر.
باشه.
Well, let me translate the question in English. It was on the Taliban and the Islamic State Daesh and the fighting and the insecurity and terrorism and the fear that they may be crossing over to Central Asia. It has two parts. The Taliban, for all the violence that they've conducted in Afghanistan, those who are Afghans are part of the Afghan society. Though the movement is controlled from outside, from intelligence agencies, especially from our neighboring country, Pakistan. But the majority of the Taliban are Afghans. So eventually we have to sit down and talk to them. We have to find a peaceful way for resolving this difficulty. As much foreign intervention as there may be, we need to find a way out, either with those who are backing them from outside or with the Taliban themselves if they show independence and begin to recognize that they are hurting their own country, their own people, and that they shouldn't do that anymore. Daesh, or the Islamic State, is entirely foreign to Afghanistan. It's not ours. It is entirely a foreign project, the project of powers with purposes and objectives in our part of the world, from Syria to Afghanistan to Central Asia. Therefore, it is the responsibility of all of us, Kazakhstan, Afghanistan, Russia, China, India, Iran, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, everybody to join hands to defeat it and defeat it soon, ideologically and instrumentally as well. درست شد؟ بازپسان براتون ترجمه میکنم. Yes, young man.
Hello, my name is Alsher, and I wanted to ask a question. How do you assess the issue with women's rights in Afghanistan, and how do you think if the women's had more rights, would the Afghanistan be more developed? And also, how did the Malala Yousafzai contributed to education in Afghanistan?
How can what? Who educate to Afghanistan?
Malala Yousafzai.
Malala?
Yeah.
Yes, sure. Afghan women have a history. The liberation of women in Afghanistan began in the 1920s with King Amanullah, where in 1927, 28, in the Jirga of 1927-28, the king's wife, Queen Suraya, a very famous queen of that part of the world, of this part of the world, stood before the Afghan people and removed her veil, thus announcing the liberation of women in Afghanistan. We were competing with Britain then. Britain was ruling India, we were independent, we had fought Britain, and this was used by Britain at that time to stir the conservatives in Afghanistan and to launch an insurgency against King Amanullah, which caused the collapse of King Amanullah's government. And then again, this process stagnated until 1955. In 1955, under King Zahir Shah and Prime Minister Mohammad Dawood, then another phase of the liberation of Afghan women started. This time more successfully. More women went to school, more women went to jobs, more women went to music and culture, and more women also came to the parliament. We have some very famous women of that time in Afghanistan. One of them became a major member of the Communist Party of Afghanistan, Anahitara Tibzad, who was then also, I believe, ambassador somewhere. And another woman, Masuma Wardak, became a member of parliament, and they were in the media and everywhere. And then that stopped in 1979 as the Soviet invasion came and as the war began in Afghanistan. The next phase, the third phase, began in 2001 when my government came with the Constitution of Afghanistan, giving Afghan women 27% share of Afghan parliamentary seats. So each province had to inevitably, as a must, elect 2 women to the parliament. Today, in a parliament of 249 members, there are nearly 80 women in the parliament. The largest number. Afghanistan has the largest number of women in the parliament, more than many countries around. And they are also in the Senate. The women in Afghanistan today are especially very strong in the media. All the television channels have women running the shows, talk shows, news broadcasters. They're also strong in banking sector and in the Ministry of Health and Education. They were traditionally strong. So Afghan women today in the society is doing well, the educated woman. The countryside still has its difficulties, and that will not go away unless we are more educated, unless we are more peaceful. But the urban women in Afghanistan, the educated ones, have opportunities, and those opportunities were used very, very well. There was a second part to your question. What was that? Great contribution. I know Malala. She's a very good girl. Very good girl. I know her father. I speak to her on the telephone very often. When she was hurt, when she was wounded, I was among the first people to contact her and to speak to her in London. And we are in correspondence. She is an inspiration to a lot of young girls for education. She's working hard for that. And we must all be inspired by her dedication and by her work. So she is an inspiration, no doubt. No doubt. There's that lady asking in the middle.
Thank you very much for your presentation. My name is Nurlaim Jakhsabayeva. I'm studying here in GSPP school doing my master's in public policy. You've mentioned in your presentation that the reforms, the changes should be from the inside.
Yes.
It should be internal.
Yes.
So, how should it be? Should it be from the society to the leaders, from the bottom to the top, or should it be implemented from the top, from the leaders to the society itself?
Two-way.
Can you please tell it more in detail, please? Thank you.
Well, how can I detail two-way?
Yeah.
It has to be two-way. It has to be through a process of interaction. A process of interaction. It has to be timely, gradual. Change will never come immediately. Change has to be accepted by the society. Change has to be accepted by the environment of the country and the prevailing system in the country. Therefore, it always takes a two-way interaction for change and for reform to grow further and further and further and further. The American Constitution, which is one of the best constitutions in the world. I went to the place where the American Constitution was made, Philadelphia. I went to that room some years ago, which was a room, small room, and I saw sticks there that were broken when the US leaders were making the Constitution for the United States. There were quarrels and fights that they were doing among themselves. It took them 10 years to make that Constitution. 10 years. And then from then to the democratic America today is 200, how many years? 255, 55 years. It took 255 years to reach where they are. Britain has been doing it for nearly 600 years. So nations develop their own approaches and their own methods to development, to institutionalization, to rule, to democratic rule. In some countries, as I mentioned, democratic rule means people going and casting ballots, electing their leaders, like they are now busy in America among themselves. In some other countries, they do it through other mechanisms. What is, in my opinion, important from our experience in Afghanistan, to do the right thing, keeping stability and progress in mind. So whatever that contributes to your stability and that is driven from your own environment is what suits you. And that's what you should do.
In the interest of time, because we are running out of time, May I suggest we take 3 questions at a time so that you can answer them in one
Yes,
go?
sir. Yes, sir.
Right. We have a lady here, and then gentleman there, and then one right at the back over there. Yeah.
Today, on the first and the second sessions on the forum, there were words about international financial center in Astana. How do you think English common law can develop a legal system of Islamic countries or countries with continental legal system, or English common law can particularly destroy the national legal system with its norms?
Well, this is a very interesting, complicated question. You spoke of the establishment of an international financial system in Astana. I know that investment coming to Kazakhstan from other countries is seen as secure. Investors don't fear coming to Kazakhstan because they see stability of the political system. They also see a proper application of laws. These two are the cornerstones of confidence for investors. You have that. Of all the countries in Central Asia, including many, Kazakhstan has been the most successful business bringer to Kazakhstan, investment bringer to Kazakhstan, and the protection of it. Even Afghans, many of us are here. There is an Afghan, Mr. Kozai, whose business in Kazakhstan is so big that he is the 7th largest taxpayer in Kazakhstan. I don't know if you know that. Mr. Kozai, the 7th largest taxpayer is an Afghan. Now he is not invested in Afghanistan. Why has he invested in Kazakhstan? There's a reason. You provide him the stability of law and the stability of the political system for him to invest easily here. Therefore, whether you go to the English common law or to the French law, French also have some very good system of laws. The Afghan law is driven by the French law. The common law system of ours is derived from the French law. Whatever system you adopt, the bottom line is that that system must have the ability to adapt to your environment, must be applicable, must be able to run the show smoothly and effectively. In that you have done well. So regardless of which system you take, you must make sure that it performs well.
Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Khosh omaded ba Kazakhstan, tashakkur ziyad, zindabad Afghanistani azad. My name is Askar. I'm from Sarbas military patriotic newspaper in Kazakhstan. And my question is narrow. Being Kazakh, being Central Asian, I'm interested with the destiny of our people in Afghanistan, like Kazakhs, Uzbeks, Turkmens, etc. But my question is narrow. What's future, what's destiny of Pamir Kyrgyz? Because there are a lot of articles about the difficult life, about the extremely difficult life. And what is the future? Have they future in Afghanistan, or would they come back to Kyrgyzstan, or what is future of Pamir Kyrgyz? And the small narrow question is, you have a very great anthem of Afghanistan, and there are a lot of name of ethnicities in this anthem.
In the national anthem of
Why
Afghanistan.
Kazakh?
Yes.
Kazakh, there are a lot of Kazakhs in Afghanistan. Why there is no Kazakhs in this anthem?
Really? Well, let me find out. That's important. The Kyrgyz in Pamir are part of Afghan life. They are Afghan citizens. They own Afghanistan like any other Afghan. When I became president, one of my first acts was to bring a Kyrgyz senator to the Afghan Senate. And then when he died, I brought his son as my advisor in the presidency. They are in a very remote, very mountainous part of the country, very cold part of the country. They visit rarely Kabul, because they cannot stand the weather in Kabul. They like it there in the cold and the fresh air. They are very much part of Afghanistan. Some of them, during the years of the Soviet invasion and subsequent upheavals, went to Kyrgyzstan as well. Some went to Kazakhstan as well. And some stayed on in Afghanistan. And I wish them all the best. They own the country as equally as any other Afghan. And about the Kazakh name not in our national anthem, I must find out if we have a great many Kazakhs. I'm sure we have some Kazakhs, but to have so many Kazakhs to fill the criteria for being in the national anthem, if that is the case, we'll certainly do it with honor. With honor, certainly. Thank you.
It's a gentleman over there.
Good afternoon. Thanks a lot for your presentation, Mr. Karzai. My name is Diaz Kazbekova, and I'm a University of Texas at Austin alumni. So my question is, from your perspective, how could Central Asian countries cooperate to reduce the drug traffic? I know it's not possible to completely resolve this issue, but are there any ways to mitigate the consequences of this problem?
That's a very, very good question. This issue is beyond our countries. This is an international mafia question. We get the bad name, they get the money. The money goes to the big banks, not our banks, not Kazakh bank, not Afghan bank. Further, big banks. But we get the bad name, we get the bad agriculture. It's been a problem that we had for a long, long time. And we can address it only when we are stronger states and cooperative. Right now, we are suffering, and we just hope we can succeed against it. Of course, there are ways to do that, and that's a larger discussion that I hope we can do some other time.
Question here, Maria.
Your Excellency, thank you for your presentation. As I myself can recall, I witnessed the media cast when you were elected democratically first president of Afghanistan, and it's an honor to have you today in our university. I am from the school that my dean is here, president, studying public policy at Nazarbayev University. Yes. And would you please share with us, with the audience, the success story of the Afghan people who has been one of the few nations in the world that never been colonized?
Yes, yes.
You're the only country maybe in the world that never been colonized by other external powers.
Never allowed it.
Never allowed it.
Never.
So how you managed it?
We fought them.
Okay.
Simple.
But there are big populated nations like China, India, who have been colonized for centuries, but your nation never been colonized ever.
You see, if you compare us with India, now India did not fight the British rule initially. They began to fight it a century later. We fought them right there immediately. We threw them out. Now, it's good, we are proud of that we have done that. But we have also suffered for it. We also got damaged for it. We are backward today. India has the English language, the institutions, the railways, the economy, the infrastructure, the civil services. We don't have that. So, if you ask me, are you happy? I will say yes. If you ask me, have you had a big price paid for this? I will say yes. So you paid a big price, but you are happy.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Right. Sorry, we just probably have one last question because of time constraints. I see your hand up there. Then with this, that would be the last question for this afternoon.
Thank you very much for being here with us. We're very glad to see you. My name is Abek. I'm an MBA student.
MBA.
MBA. And my question is quite
Master
simple.
of Public Policy.
Master of Public Administration.
Good. Administration. Very good.
So my question is, from your perspective, how long it will take for Afghanistan to become financially sufficient? Or when?
Very important question. Very important questions. Well, depends on what kind of standard we adopt for ourselves. This is a very important question. This is a question that we in Afghanistan should think about every day. 30 years ago, Afghanistan was a poorer country than it is today. But Afghanistan managed its own affairs because we lived our lives within the confinement of our means. Today, unfortunately, we don't live within the confinement of our means. So, if the question is the correlation between the means available in the lifestyle, we are unfortunately today far above in lifestyle to the means that we have. If we bring ourselves to the standards of our economy, we will manage a lot better. We will not be in need. Need is psychological. If I agree to taking a piece of bread and some milk in the morning every day, I will not be in need of finding money to buy 5 or 6 eggs, cheeses, jams, honey. And that is the means within which I will live. But if your question means when will Afghanistan be developed industrially, when will it have a better economy, a more prosperous economy, that will take some time to come. First, for that is the return of peace. Second, for that is educating Afghans better, like the gentleman here said. Third, for that is Afghanistan's own hard work. It's hard work that matters, like you have done in Kazakhstan. You've done it with your own means, and you will do better. So Afghans should do it with our own means, with our own hard work, and educate ourselves. Before all others, peace is the foundation.
All right, thank you, Dr. Karzai. I'm sure you agree with me that we have a very interesting afternoon. We benefited from the rich experience from Dr. Karzai. I wish we had more time, but because of time constraint, we have to wrap this up at this point in time. So once again, I'd like to ask you to join me in thanking Dr. Karzai, despite his busy schedule, to be able to spend some time and sharing his experience. And I'm sure that all of you have benefited from this time, and we have gained a better understanding of what Kazakhstan is, and also what we can learn from Afghanistan. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.